Welcome back, guys, to Miles Edgeworth Ace Attorney Investigations, where last episode, after Kay's bluff with her father's notebook kept Ambassador Alba talking, a series of interventions started to happen to keep the case alive, with First Agent Lang having gotten Mr. Alba stripped of his position, before Gumshoe arrived with the pushcart as key evidence of the moving of Coach's body, before even Larry and Oldbag appeared with a sodden iron infant in hand, leading to an avenue of smuggling we had not thought of before. Well, the problem now being how an inanimate doll crossed the border. We're about to tell Mr. Alba exactly how. The reason I say that is because there wasn't any water there at the time. What do you mean there wasn't any water? That's what it sounds like. Nice events made it possible to drain the water, allowing the body to be moved. So how did the water level drop that we saw refill at some point in time? Well, the fires were set more deliberately than ever. Now we actually have a reason for the arson. Tonight, the Atarasu set fire to a variety of locations in the Babylese embassy. In order to put the fires out, much of the reservoir's water was used. Of course, when the water was used, the reservoir's water level went down. If enough water was drained, the connecting pipe could be used to traverse the border. Objection! So what? The water level went down, the reservoirs were connected. Does any of this matter? You can't prove any of this. Pretending to be ignorant won't work with me. We both know what kind of situation we're in right now. Even in a game, there comes a critical game-changing moment. A moment in which you hit a wall that you must overcome in order to beat the game. I haven't lost yet. I found the route you used to smuggle the body, and that route will lead to your defeat. Even if all the water was used by the firefighting effort, you still can't really call that a smuggling route. I know that. I should have figured that you would notice. Hey, Mr. Alba, how deep are these pools anyway? I'll have you know those pools are extremely deep. And there are no ladders or footholds along the walls either. It would be difficult for Sheena to hold the body and climb up out of the pool. Ladders or footholds along the walls? There was no need for such things. What do you mean? If one were to use a certain something, they could go up or down the pool at will. Oh, it looks like you've got an answer already. Well, what are you waiting for, Mr. Prosecutor? Enlighten us already. The way in which Miss Sheena and the body were able to rise up to ground level. If there was a way to control the water level, that could be the way the body was moved. It requires patience too. This was used so the body and Miss Sheena could move up and down in the pool. Again, evidence not yet used. Now we're hitting it all. Part of the Rose Garden pool, order refills the water when the water level is too low. Take that! Just wait. Mr. Alba used the fountain spouts, in a manner of speaking. He used the fountain spouts? How so? The water level in the pools can be controlled by opening and closing the spouts. Miss Sheena and the body were lifted upward by their buoyancy in water. The fire on the Babylese side and the firefighting effort. These were set in motion all for the sake of smuggling Mr. Cochin's body. Shall I show you where the final destination of my train of logic leads? First, Mr. Alba closed the fountain spouts in advance in preparation of things to come. Then he took the pushcart that was brought to the Rose Garden and pushed it along with the iron infant and Mr. Cochin's body into the pool. At this time, Miss Sheena was busy conveniently starting the first fire in Babal. She then made for the open-air stage's pool to wait for the firefighting effort to begin. When the firefighters used the water in that pool, the water level went down. And by the time the fire was put out, the pipe between the two pools was exposed. This is when she pushed the pushcart from Alibi into Babal. Once that was accomplished, Mr. Alba simply opened the fountain spouts once more. And the water level rose up to its original level, along with Miss Sheena and the body. After that, Miss Sheena used the pushcart to carry the body up to the Secretariat's office. There's an elevator in the embassy, after all, so you see, even with a small frame, she could have easily transported Mr. Cochin's body. And that wraps up my thorough explanation of how the body was moved. Well, ex-Ambassador Alba, what do you think? Not so untouchable without your precious extraterritorial rights to protect you, are you? I knew you could do it, Mr. Edgeworth. Way to fight back! You accuse me of moving the body across country lines, but when you get down to the nitty-gritty, you don't have what it takes to indict me. The nitty-gritty? What does the old man want now? Proof, I believe, is what he seeks. Yes, proof. And who is to say whether or not any of what you said really happened? He wants proof. What are we going to do, Mr. Edgeworth? There's no need to worry. I've had all the proof we need all along. The body wasn't the only thing to go through the pool's connecting pipe tonight. Just as Detective Gumshoe found the pushcart in the open-air stage area, so too did I find one other item there. And that piece of evidence is what will prove that the pools were the smuggling route. This was another thing that was smuggled over to Babal's open-air stage area. So, is this finally again hitting more evidence of things that we miss? It looks like a guitar pick. It is wet for some reason. Take that! That's what he's referring to. And what exactly is this? You have no idea, do you? This little piece that I found on the Babbly's side will be your undoing. The guitar pick. Would you care to explain how that is going to do me in, as it were? Much your chagrin, perhaps, but this is not a guitar pick. What? This is something I found at the open-air stage, which was transported with the body. I naturally assumed that you would recognize it, since you took a photo of it after all. Since you don't allow me to fill you in on what I found the stage actually belongs to. Okay then. It's the missing segment from the top here. It's a petal, not a pick. Take that! Let's take a good look at the murder weapon that was used to kill Manny Koshin. On the handle of this knife, there's a beautifully blooming flower. However, it would appear that it's missing a single petal. Now let's see what happens when we try to fit this pick in that open slot. It's a perfect fit! I assume that the petal must have fallen off of the flower during Mr. Koshin's murder, and then it was accidentally placed into the pushcart along with Mr. Koshin's body. That's an interesting story. Nothing more. Oh, I assure you it's more than just a story, because for some odd reason this flower petal was wet when I found it. It was wet, you say? Yes, and the only place it could have gotten wet from is the open-air stage's pool. Now I ask you, how did a part of the weapon which was smuggled into the theatre wind up in the open-air stage area on the Babbly's side of the embassy? I don't think I need to waste any words explaining this, as this petal explains it all for me. It proves that someone went from the Rose Gardens pool on through into Babal. Impossible! The people of Zangfar have been waiting to see you face to face, Mr. Alba. I'll tell everyone back home we'll be there soon. You should be happy. Why? Why, it's a little late to be asking that question. You should have known from the very beginning. When you took your first life, no matter how you may plot or how you may try to cover it all up, you can never hide from your crime and what you've done. Because we're here to see to it that justice is served to people like you. You can't call what you've given a perfect argument. You know, I don't think this guy's going to ever admit to his wrongdoings, Mr. Edgeworth. Because he values himself above all else. People who can't be negotiated with, or people who refuse to admit when they've lost. I don't believe those kinds of people really exist because everyone breaks eventually. You're right. In that case, I have no choice but to use all of the evidence I have. I'll use it all until he breaks under the weight of his crimes. Mr. Alba, I request that you testify once more. This really will be the end of the line. Oh, end of the line to be continued? Sure thing. Well, to be continued we shall be. 3:33 a.m. at the Theatrum Neutralis. Let's get this final testimony, shall we? If it is the final. Mr. Alba, I request you testify once more. As if there is anything else for me to testify about. I still have yet to fully prove that it was Mr. Alba who murdered Mr. Koshin. Well, I would like to hear about your movements before the murder occurred. I wonder if you could tell us about what you did here at the Theatrum Neutralis. Very well. I suppose I could tell you about that. Because about all I did was watch the Still Samurai stage show. Elaborating on even that alone is good enough for me. The only way for me to place this man under arrest is to pinpoint the exact location of where the murder took place, for that is the key to this investigation. The Still Samurai show. We've got the music. I watched from the last row. The stage was well lit, but it was dark out in the audience. I swear I was there in the audience, but it's hard to prove that, I suppose. I do remember the contents of the show very well, though. Is that proof enough for you? Those moving scenes were seared into this old man's heart. I'll never forget them. So you were in the theatre proper, watching the Still Samurai stage show, were you? Of course I was. I have a great fondness for the Still Samurai. Hey, yeah! I was pretty cool out there, wasn't I? You're not the one who is cool. It's the Still Samurai who is cool. Yeah, the Still Samurai special finishing move today was really something, huh? Huh? Hey, Edgy! Who is she? Who is this super cute girl? She's been standing here this whole time and only now he notices her? Her name is Kay Faraday, and she's helped me in my investigation. Sorry I didn't get to introduce myself earlier, but better late than never. Yes, okay, I'm Larry Bird! Silence in the peanut gallery. There's no time for such trivialities at a time like this. Mr. Prosecutor, this is the final battle, you got that? I know, this is the end. For that man there. Now that's the kind of thing I like to hear. I think I'll give trusting you a try, Mr. Prosecutor. Or rather, Mr. Edgeworth. I leave this critical battle up to you, Mr. Edgeworth. Have no fear. I will finish the job. This really is the end game. A time has come to expose every last one of Mr. Alba's lies. We are in the end game now. The Still Samurai show. I watched from the last row. The stage was well lit, but it was dark out in the audience. I'm not quite sure what we're going with at first, so let's press. The last row. I should think that an ambassador would have had special seating reserved. I wanted my staff to enjoy the Still Samurai show as well, so I gave up all of the good seats for them. It was enough for me to simply see him. Hey, the Still Samurai wasn't the only hero. Let's not forget about the Pink Princess here. My dear madame, if you continue to fuss about like that, your hip may begin to hurt again. Oh my, well, aren't you the considerate person when you want to be? But this young butterfly is on the side of Oedipus. So you can spare me the flirtatious come-ons? Wow, he's completely frozen. In frustration, perhaps, I dare say she can be one rather trying opponent. In any case, Mr. Alba, can you actually prove to us that you were watching the show? I swear I was there in the audience, but it's hard to prove that, I suppose. Are you admitting, then, that you have no way of proving to us that you were watching? Quiet. You buzz in my ear like a pesky little fly. If you don't wish to listen quietly until the end of what I have to say, then perhaps you should pack up and get out of my way. Ah! I see that you're willing to be a bit more receptive now. While it's true that it may be difficult to prove that I was out in the audience, nothing's really happening for me at the moment. I do remember the contents of the show very well, though. Is that proof enough for you? Give us a rundown. Well, I remember the contents of the show as well myself. That's nice. That's nice. Miles Edgeworth, don't allow yourself to be riled up by him at this important juncture. I wasn't planning to let him. Well, if you ask me, I think I'm the biggest Still Samurai expert around here. And didn't you think the climactic scene of today's show was just totally awesome? Yes, I remember that well. And that spectacular special move. The way you delivered the final blow against the evil magistrate. Early summer rain jab. Oh, that scene will live on in my heart forever. So how it went? I totally forgot about that. How can you forget your own special moves? That's a special attack that the Still Samurai uses when he's using the samurai spear. Yes, and today was the first time they showed it off, was it not? If I hadn't watched the show, then how could I answer you with the name of the move? I suppose you are correct. but if you could, please elaborate on this point for me. Got him! One of the scenes was of this never-before-seen early summer rain jab move. Well, a final weapon, or final stab at you, dealt with a floppy spear. Because he'd been it, Larry couldn't do the early summer rain jab special attack. Oh, your downfall, sir. You'd have noticed if you were a big fan, like Edgy Poo. The special move today was the early summer rain jab. Is that your final answer? You little irritating gnat. Do you think you can trip me up by asking the same question over and over? That was not my intention. Your testimony is more than sufficient. However, I believe it would be wise for you to take a look at this. The samurai spear. What about it? This spear actually never made it on stage today. Excuse me? Unfortunately for you, tonight's Steel Samurai happened to be a goof of a young man with an abundance of useless hot-bloodedness. Having said that, said useless man bent the spear during his rehearsal this evening. Okay, do you remember what the Steel Samurai special move was tonight? It was the Steel Samurai Sushi Slash! Correct, because you couldn't use a spear. A last-minute change was made. Had you really been watching the show, you would have known the move that was used. Quick as Alba! You didn't watch even a single minute of the Steel Samurai stage show tonight, did you? So he wasn't watching the show tonight. Then it opens up the possibility he was busy killing Mr. Koshin instead. So where were you during the show? I demand an answer, now. I thought this was the final testimony! Just what is so funny? You're so sloppy. And so are your conclusions. I still insist that I watched the show, or most of it in any case. What do you mean by most of it? Well, the time when I wasn't staring people. You see, during the show I left my seat for a spell to visit the bathroom. I assume that was when that dramatic scene was played out on stage. That's the lousiest, lamest excuse I've ever heard in my life, pal! Just because he got the name of the move wrong. Can't really use that as proof that he didn't watch the show at all. As a fan of the Steel Samurai, I'd wanted to watch the entire show. Honest. As you can say, because of old age, my bladder isn't as it used to be. That's a Steel Samurai fan. For someone who wasn't even in his seat for the climax of the show. You have no right to call yourself a Steel Samurai fan ever. Gatekeeping much, Edgeworth? Everyone's shocked at Edgeworth's gatekeeping. Who is that just now? Who said stuff? Who be I, young lady? Larry, what are you doing interrupting me like that? Hey, gee, just hold on for a second, I beg. You may never accept this old man as a Steel Samurai fan, but I totally think he's a Steel Samaniac. What who that is a Steel Samaniac, pal? I believe he meant to say Steel Samurai Maniac. Yeah, and trust me, I know a real fan when I see one because I'm the Steel Samurai. I will never acknowledge you as the true Steel Samurai. What are you getting so worked up over, Mr. Edgeworth? It appears that the real Steel Samurai recognizes me as a fan. As well he should, for I am a fan. It's not as though I missed the entire show. It was a most amazing show filled with the spirit of the young and the young at heart. Sarcasm dripping from his long wooden nose couldn't run any thicker. Getting the name of the move wrong only proves that he didn't watch the last scene. What I really need here is something more definitive. Something that links Mr. Alba directly to the murder of Mr. Manny Koshin. You know what, Gramps? You're really something else. I'm honored to receive such praise from the Steel Samurai. What is it for? Well, I was just wondering how you found out about the early summer rain jab. That move's a bit of a secret that only a small portion of the staff know about. Wait. It was a secret. Larry, wait. What did you just say? Huh? Did I say something stupid again? Did you say that the early summer rain jab was actually a secret? Well, maybe I shouldn't have said secret. it's more like we only decided on the name of the move right before the start of the show. Right before? Yeah, the stage director was going nuts because we were supposed to debut the move. About 5 minutes before the show, we threw it up on the dressing room's whiteboard. Early summer rain jab. That's kind of how we decided the name of the move. But by that time, I'd already bent the spear, so I guess the whole thing was kind of pointless. All of you Still Samurai actors are the same. The director has my complete sympathy. So basically, because we changed the move to the sushi slash, we kind of pretended that the early summer rain jab didn't exist at all. I mean, it'd be bad if someone found out we changed the move, so we made it a secret. So basically, a gag order was issued for publicity's sake. It always makes the early summer rain jab sound like a lost art. Yeah, which is why I think most of the staff haven't even heard the move. Hold those lips of yours still. What the heck, old man? I've done nothing but listen, and from what I can tell, it's all very unrelated to the case. We just put a broom that you could see the name of the move in it. It was a very tedious and a pointless exercise in wasting time, much like a kid's show. Objection! Mr. Alba, I believe the one who should be quiet now is you. How dare you? I suspected you've already noticed exactly what the very severe implications are in this man's testimony. Ha! So now you're trying to bully me, huh? There are no implications to be read into a behind-the-scenes story of a kid's show. Don't even think about trying to slither your way out of this, Curtis Alba. You were the one who said it yourself that the name of the move was Early Summer Rain Jab. But that name was only decided upon right before the show was about to start. So what are you driving at? The name of the move you told us was never used in the show or said aloud. Now then, would you care to tell us about how you found out the name of that move? Because I can only think of one way you could have known. Quick, Alba, this is the only way you could have known the name of the special move. Because you saw it on the board. You knew the name because you saw it. You saw it on the dressing room's white board. The staff members who knew were keeping it a secret, so you couldn't have simply gone up to a staff member and asked. Which means that the only other option left is that you saw it on the whiteboard. So that means that Mr. Alba was in the waiting room at some point, right? What's the big deal, sir? I don't see what that means. There's another piece of evidence that has a great deal to do with the dressing room, so we can't afford to let this slide. This is related to both the dressing room and to Mr. Koshin's murder. I mean, I guess, props. Okay, reading the text, it's like exactly on. It's like I'm pausing a second going, So, what are we looking at here? Anything related? But instantly bringing it up as props. Push this nanobots from the dressing room. There is blood inside. Take that! The pushcart that was used to move the body was right there in the dressing room. During the show, the pushcart awaited its turn to be pushed on stage in the dressing room. And it was finally pushed there, along with the Iron Infant in the last scene of the show. Oh my god, his body was in there then? And then, right after the show ended, it went into Alibi along with the Still Samurai. Which means that the only time the killer could have placed the body inside the pushcart was when the pushcart was in the dressing room backstage. So basically, the killer has to be someone who visited the dressing room during the show. Precisely. Ah! Oh, but wait, what if, and this is just a what if the murder didn't take place in the dressing room? What do you mean, Kay? I have to admit she brings up a valid possibility. During the show, the dressing room was supposed to be devoid of people. Anyone going to the private dressing room would stand out like a sore thumb. But despite that, the killer still managed to move the body with a pushcart. Correct, and it is because of the setup of the theatre's dressing room that it would be the ideal location for the murder of Mr. Manny Kochin. Quick, Alba, during the show you went down to the dressing room, and I want to know why. Yes, I was there. I went into the dressing room. I knew it. I'm placing you under arrest right now, pal. You got that? Arrest! Objection! Not so fast. What was it now? Don't I deserve a chance to explain myself? Explain? What is there to explain? I believe I told you earlier that I went to the bathroom. Well, I got lost when I did. I wanted to ask for directions, but when I opened the dressing room door, no one was inside. And that's when I saw the name of the move on the whiteboard. You punk. Still trying to get out of this.
Do you really think you can get away at this point? Mr. Edgeworth, isn't there anything you could do to stop him?
I don't have enough evidence on hand to do anything. I don't have the airtight evidence I need to put this man away for good. But if that's what I need, then perhaps... Agent Lang, I believe an investigation of the dressing room in question is in order. It's possible that we may find new evidence there. Yeah, Mr. Edgeworth pokes around in there. I'm sure we'll find some new facts, pal.
Oh, and if we use Little Thief, we may even learn something from a recreation.
We don't need to do any of that.
What? Wolfie, how could you...
I'm not saying this to be mean. It's just that we've already searched there. My men really are something else.
And they found nothing.
There's only one thing I can say to you, sis, and it's that they found nothing. That's it.
I guess you're right. If they had found something, they would have reported it to us, but they're really bad at finding things.
They couldn't find anything because there was nothing there to find.
And if there's no info to feed into Little Thief, then I can't do much to help either.
Is this the end? The murder took place in this theatre, which is not protected under extraterritorial rights. And the fact that it was Mr. Alba himself who committed the murder. If I can't prove both statements to be true, Mr. Alba walks away a free man. Is there no other course of action left to us? It would appear that your hand of cards has turned out to be a bust. Now, if you will excuse me, because of you people I missed my flights. Now I must make haste to arrange for a new one.
But who is it this time?
Hold it right there, you whippersnappers!
Ah, first Larry and now you?
What is with that scary mobster-like scowl on your face, Hetty Poo?
Don't treat me like I'm some sort of nuisance.
I've been meaning to say this, but all of you keep talking about things I don't get at all!
You're leaving this lady in the sad, depressing, lonely dust that I'm about to cry in. Why did you have to speak up right at this instant? But you know what, Edgy Poo? Cheer up, because I'm about to give you the most wonderful thing. The most wonderful thing from you. It's so super special that I couldn't give it away to just anyone you know. Ah, my special present of love to my sweet Edgy Poo. Are you ready? It's this. It's...
It's a box of those samurai dogs, right?
You're so Edgy Poo. Here, go on and eat one. You'll feel as right as rain.
Are we through here?
Why did everyone get so quiet all of a sudden?
Edgy Poo, tell me you understand the depths of this lady's love for you. I'm not one to hand out snacks willy-nilly, you know. No, sir.
The thought occurred to me that maybe it would be good if I fed you myself. You would as full one day is my dream to serve you some of my own homemade food. I mean, isn't it the desire of every woman to make sure that their beloved never goes hungry? That's what I wanted to do. I'll tell you one thing, though. Something they used to say that I made the most delicious ingredient for in front of me. Oh, I was starving in the kitchen. Oh,
Miss Edgeworth, can you do anything about her? There's no power on earth that can force that woman into silence.
But I'm so sick and tired of it. All you people do is look down on me.
Even this box of samurai dogs play me for a fool. It had a special design on its fan, like the Japanese flag, so I thought it was special. But when I ate one, it tasted just like all the rest. Oh, it made me so mad. Wait, a special box with a Hinamaru-like fan on it. I've never heard of such a piece of merchandise existing before. However, there it is. The red rising sun on this fan is filled in. Is it possible? Could it be... After the show, the samurai dogs were piled up on the dressing room floor. However, there is no such thing as rising sun dog. This contradiction of facts between something that should not exist and yet does. The rays from the rising sun may be just what we needed to point us in the right direction. A present. The studio bigwigs basically told us to play delivery boys. We were supposed to hand the dogs off to the MC people and tell them hi. I had to pile them all into the pushcart just to move them all. They were in the pushcart at the time. I believe you understand what this means, correct? You killed Mr. Coach in this theatre and then placed his body inside the pushcart.
and then you force the still samurai to unwittingly move the body for you. It's time to piece the final pieces of this logic puzzle together. No matter how fragile or small the connections may be, once we've found them all, the way to the truth will be revealed. It's logic time! So boxes of samurai dogs were sitting in the pushcart, which of course the body was needed to be put in, so the body was like emptied into the pushcart, so we'd need to move that to do that. We've also got the rising sun dogs taken from the dressing room. The fan's rising sun is filled in for some reason. Is that a drop of blood? First of all, let's go with the most logical bit of the two, which is these two, because you'd have had to remove the samurai dogs for the body to go in. Surely. Surely! The killer used the pushcart to transport the body, which means that they had to remove the samurai dogs from within first. Therefore, the samurai dogs that was piled up upon the dressing room floor were most likely taken out of the pushcart by the killer. So we only have two things to link, so here we go. That which should not exist, this box of samurai dogs with a Hinamaru on it. If this red rising sun was filled in when the killer was busy removing dogs from the pushcart, that is proof that the murder took place in the dressing room. As long as its red substance turns out to be what I believe it to be. Wendy Oldbag. I thank you. What you have given to me is truly something very special. Edgy Boo!
Mr. Edgeworth, are you sure you're feeling okay, sir?
Mr. Alba, as I suspected, you killed Mr. Koshin in the dressing room.
How many times must I listen to you repeat yourself? Haven't you figured it out yet? Your words are meaningless, worthless, and powerless. The only way I'm going to continue to cooperate is with some definitive evidence.
That arrogance, that self-confidence. You believe that you erased every piece of evidence that could incriminate you. However, there remains one piece here, and it is what will put you away for good.
Ha! You're bluffing. Oh, hey, Mr. Prosecutor, sounds like you finally found them. You finally found the fangs we need to go after this guy's jugular. So tell us, what about that box of samurai dogs that's going to put the old man away?
The trace evidence that will bring him down lies here, of course. Bing! This box of samurai dogs with rising sun fan on it. This should never have existed. So I want you all to take a good look at this red spot. It's a single drop of blood. Huh?
What? Blood, you say?
Agent Lang, I'd like this blood analyzed post-haste.
I've got to admit, I'm a bit surprised. I can't believe we found blood in a place like this. You. Get this down the lab pronto.
Why was there blood on that box to begin with? When we think about the flow of the crime, I think the reason will become obvious. Larry, you said that you transported the samurai dogs with the pushcart, correct?
Oh, yeah. You have a great memory, Edgy.
That pushcart was a bit too big for my son, you know what I mean? So to make sure everyone could see him, I had to pile some stuff in. I figured that the samurai dogs were there, so I used them to fill up the cart. If what Larry says is true, then what were the boxes doing on the floor?
I see. The killer took them out in order to place the body in the pushcart.
Exactly, and that is when I believe the victim's blood found its way onto that box.
When my men investigated that room, not a single box of samurai dogs was in there, because embassy staff members had already confiscated them.
Yes, no doubt to hide the evidence of the murder. It's a good thing Miss Oldbag managed to steal that one box before they got to them, huh? Looks like Miss Oldbag also managed to put this great thief to shame.
What a scandalous way of putting that!
I didn't steal, I received it from myself. Quick as Alba, I say this was one very fatal oversight on your part.
Sorry to rain on your little love fest, however.
How? How can he be so self-confident in a no-win situation for him like this?
Even if that blood turns out to belong to Mr. Koshin, then what?
So, Mr. Edgeworth, it sounds like he's not ready to call it quits yet, huh? Sole piece of evidence that was left at the scene of the crime. That alone has shed light on a new fact. At the very least, we now have proof that the murder occurred in the dressing room.
And? You say that like it means something.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
Excuse me, sirs? Report. What were the results of the analysis? Sir, the analysis came back and confirmed that the red substance is blood. I knew it. With this Quaker's Alba. Mr. Edgeworth, I wonder if you might humour my question.
Your question?
The one from before, or have you forgotten? Even if that is Mr. Cochin's blood, what difference would it make? Like we already told you, it proves that the crime scene was that dressing room. But it doesn't prove that I am your killer, does it? That's... It's a very good point. The blood on that box doesn't prove that Mr. Alba is the killer.
Then, this evidence, it's meaningless.
That can't be. We were so close, sir.
I want to smack that smug look off his face. Come on, there's got to be something we can do. We finally found a solid piece of evidence. There must be something I can expose with it.
Make me going long, not wrong, Edgeworth.
I can't think of a single thing. Is this going even longer?
Now, if you excuse me, I'll be on my way. Who was that? It's too late. I won't allow anyone to stop me now. It wasn't me, pal.
And it wasn't me this time either.
It wasn't me either.
It was me! It was me. It was the Francis guy. Why did you... because I haven't finished reporting everything to you yet, sir? There's more.
What? Hurry up and spit it out.
Yes, sir. That blood I mentioned, it's not of the same blood type as the victim's blood.
What?
No.
What? What? What do you mean it's not the same type? You mean it's not the victim's blood?
Look at the other reactions, Lang.
If it isn't his, then who the hell's is it? I don't know, sir. All I know is that it's not the same blood type as the victim, sir.
What should we do now, Mr. Edgeworth? I have no idea what's what anymore.
Neither do I.
I do. Let me do it.
My, what an amusing turn of events. That blood drop proves something to be true, all right. Namely, my words.
And which one of your words would that be?
The ones where I said that your words are meaningless, worthless, and powerless. That blood has nothing to do with the murder investigation whatsoever. Need I remind you that the blood got onto that box long before it entered my embassy?
What sort of nonsense?
Yeah, it's blood, pal. There's no way it's not related to the murder. As you would like to believe. But what if someone preparing the samurai dogs had a small nosebleed? What then? I guess that's possible. Damn it. Have we been wasting our time on a red herring? The blood doesn't belong to anyone connected to the case. That should be clue enough. Quaker's Alba, you bastard! Silence! Don't you ever address me with such a filthy word again. I've wasted enough time here with you, and you have your answers. Now let me through. Alba, it doesn't matter where you run off to, you'll never escape me. Someday I'll have the satisfaction of sinking my fangs into you. You'll see. And all of Interpol will be behind me, working to see to it that that day comes. You know what your words sound like to me. They sound like the whinings of a pathetic loser of a mutt.
Is this really the extent of all that we can do? Is the blood really from someone completely unrelated to the case? Or is there another possibility? Someone else other than the victim? Just when I thought I had him backed into a corner, it's his eye who's been backed into one. In a situation like this, what would that man do? What would he, who can turn any desperate situation around, do? Turn it around. That's it. I must turn my way of thinking around. It's not whose blood is this. It's whose blood could get onto the box like this. And if I think about it that way... If the blood got onto the box when the body was being placed into the pushcart, then the owner of said blood must have been in the dressing room at the time. And there was only one person that could be.
Well, I must praise you for trying so hard. It's because of you kids that I was removed from center stage, and will be forced to live out the rest of my life in the shadows, unfortunately. But it's not a total loss, as the underworld will allow me more freedom than you'll ever know. Freedom like what the raven feels as it flies through the dark night sky. You can't lay a finger on me, not now or ever. The arm of the law is powerless before me.
Powerless, is it? I wouldn't be so sure about that if I were you.
What do you mean?
Allow me to describe to you in one word, pitiful. Or allow me to describe you in one word, pitiful.
Pitiful? How so?
Prosecutor Alba, your wings were clipped long ago. And for someone who was trying to fly away on them without noticing that fact, pitiful is the perfect word to describe you.
Ha! Mere words!
What do you mean by his wings are clipped, Mr. Edgeworth?
Just what you think it means, Kay.
We had already caught him in our trap a while back, with an incredibly powerful, definitive piece of evidence.
Hey, after Mr. Prosecutor, care to speak in English? What are you talking about? What piece of evidence?
The piece I speak of is, of course, this drop of blood. We know that it's not from the victim. I don't see how it remains relevant to the case at all.
Miss Von Karma,
I believe that is exactly why it's very important to the case. And the part that is the most important is the fact that it's not the victim's blood.
you're looking a little pale.
Good, then I believe you are already aware of what I mean.
And you know who the blood belongs to.
Of course I do. This piece of evidence is the irrefutable proof that will stop the killer in his tracks. The blood that soiled this box of samurai dogs belongs to this person. Where is he on the list? God, that makes us angry. The blood of the rising sun on this box belongs to you, Prosecutor Alba. What?
What?
Why is his blood on the box of samurai dogs? He's not even a victim. The blood fell onto the box when Mr. Kochin's body was being loaded into the pushcart. At that time, the only two people in the dressing room were the victim and his killer.
So that's what you mean. If the blood doesn't belong to the victim.
Then there is only one other person it could belong to. Yes, and that person is the murderer himself. That's the only logical conclusion.
But Mr. Kochin was the one who was stabbed, sir. Why would Mr. Alba have been the one who was bleeding?
What if during the murder Mr. Kochin had fought back? You mean if before Mr. Alba could kill him, Mr. Kochin managed to wound Mr. Alba? Yes, and I believe we have a piece of evidence that proves that he was bleeding then. What is the piece of evidence that shows that Mr. Alba was probably bleeding at the time? We know he was wounded. He showed it to us.
Take that!
To exonerate himself, in fact. Mr. Alba, you bear on your body a great wound.
That was from when Dabas 2 attacked me with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, and that happened way after he was in the dressing room. But is that what really happened? You can manufacture a weapon by smearing blood on it, so I can't just accept that as fact. Shall we try a test, Mr. Alba, and see if the shape of your wound matches the scissors?
You really are something else, Mr. Edgeworth. You don't let a single thing slip you by, no matter how insignificant the possibility.
You're one to talk, Mr. Alba. You managed to give the law the slip for 10 years as the Smuggling Ring's leader. No matter the danger, you can hide every last ounce of fear and anxiety from everyone. You truly are a one-of-a-kind criminal.
I am the master of my fear. However, to think that a person such as you could miss such a large thing.
You believe I've overlooked something?
You said that my wound was caused by Mr. Kochin, and that it was caused here in one of the theater's dressing rooms, right?
Yes, that is correct.
I'd like to point out that it's simply not possible. My wound is a stab wound and one that could only have come from a blade. I wonder where you will propose that such a weapon came from.
This theater was packed with security guards. It would have been impossible for anyone to come into this area with a weapon of any sort.
Just as Mr. Alba was able to bring in the alabaster knife in a bouquet, there must have been some other way to sneak in a weapon of some sort. But as long as you can't prove what that other way is, all your talk about Mr. Kochin stabbing me is pure nonsense. So if that other way doesn't exist, or does exist, you'd better hurry and tell me now.
With pleasure.
Wait, what?
This piece of evidence shows us how Mr. Koshin brought a weapon into this theater. A weapon designed to hide itself as a key. Yes, we've got him now. Is this the final definitive piece of evidence? It is also a knife. He used it as a key for the safe. He reused it day by day as a key and carried it on his person. Therefore, it will probably pass all security checks. The Adagraster's key. Among law enforcement, this piece is known as the Adagraster's key.
That key!
That's the key that my father stole from here 7 years ago. And is very unique in that it is both a key and a knife. Meaning that under the guise of a key, it could have been easily brought into the theater. You can dispose of the knife that stabbed you. Therefore, you wiped off the blood and placed it back in Mr. Koshin's pocket. After all, the key itself opens the safe in his office. And inside that safe, there was a document about Codopian paper signed by Mr. Koshin. In order to make it look like Mr. Koshin died as the leader of the Smuggling Ring, you had to make it so that the police were the ones who opened that office safe. All that hard work to save yourself only serves to destroy you in the end. Shall we try matching this nice blade with your wound, Mr. Quercus Alba? And that is what some may call the coup de grace.
Impossible! You can take me down! Swine! All of you! Especially Manny Koshin. This is all because of that man's betrayal. He sought to steal control of the smuggling ring from me by removing me as ambassador, which is why he deserved to die while bearing the guilt for all my crimes for me. That's why I sent out the Atagrasus card and how this incident was born. Manny was supposed to be the smuggling ring's leader who was killed by the Atagonasu, but I had yet another reason, yet another story that was supposed to play out. Manny's death was supposed to bring everything to a close, and I would have gotten away with it too if it wasn't for you pesky meddling prosecutors!
Mr. Alba, I'm afraid there is one more question I forgot to ask. Is the question Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? This country's, or Alabas, which country's court would you like to face first? Either way, it's game over. For you. Was there a succubus in the room or something? Well, we're back at the defendant lobby number 2. Which court did he face first? It's time to wrap this up. Going long wasn't a bad choice.
Phew! This is it, the big day! Mr. Alba's trial today.
And next week he's scheduled to stand trial in his own country of Alabast. When Siska is heading that one, I suspect she'll be serving a full course of whiplashes at it.
I'm gonna face Miss Karma in court right after facing you, sir. Ugh, I don't even want to think of what that would be like. I caught a glimpse of Mr. Alba as he was being escorted in the courthouse. And boy, he looked about as glum as I do the day before I get my monthly paycheck. You know, I've been thinking. That flight attendant and even Mr. Portsman were all Mr. Alba's secret agents.
Correct. That smuggling ring was the common thread between all of the incidents. Camille was to provide support during smuggling ops using her job as an attendant. And Mr. Portsman was to manipulate trials related to the ring to end in their favour.
Ugh, I fly airlines and even the prosecutor's office. No one was safe from the smuggling ring, yes, sir.
I suspect there are even more members of this ring spread throughout the world.
Yeah, it sounds like such a big op that I can't even begin to imagine what it's like.
What is it, detective?
Nothing. It's just, well, got to think of it. Mr. Ernest Amano's trial is also scheduled for later today, sir.
I'm aware of that. Mr. Amano has been working with the smuggling ring now for over 10 years. He used the Amano Group's various connections worldwide to assist the ring. But all of that has come to an end as its conglomerate is now undergoing harsh scrutiny. I owe Mr. Romano a debt of gratitude, and he must pay his debt to society.
Well, with the rest of both Mr. Alba and Mr. Romano, I guess that about wraps up the KJ incident as well, huh?
I suppose so. The real killer in the KJ incident 10 years ago was Manny Cochin. And 7 years ago, the killer in the second KJ incident was Mackerel. Those two facts are the unshakable truth. However, it seems that a lot of effort was put into hiding these and other truths from us. And I will expose it all at the trials today.
You're solving cases left and right today, aren't you, sir?
Cease you, indeed, man. Perhaps now these two brave souls who tried to make the truth known can rest in peace. By the way, I received some gifts from Ambassador Plano. Shrimp, crab, beef. I don't need any of these, so I'm giving them to you.
What? Seriously, sir? Wait, actually, I don't think I want them anymore. The way you're holding them, don't tell me they're just coupons, sir.
Detective Gumshoe, have you not read the paper recently? Ever since the two countries became Condopia again, its economy has changed.
Really?
And it seems that Ambassador Plano has reaped a few benefits of his own from it. He has been announced as the official ambassador of the newly reunified Condopia. But what a pity. Even though every item you send is a treasure, you don't seem all that interested. Well, if you don't want them, I can give them to my lovely assistant Kay.
Wait, that's not what I said. So, Mr. Edgeworth, please let me have them, sir. Actually, come to think of it, where is Kay? How come she's not here?
You said the guess things. It was Kay saying the stuff, wasn't it? Hey, you've got to be more alert than that.
Ah!
Can't believe you didn't notice. I was even mimicking Mr. Edgeworth's voice for a bit.
I totally didn't notice you, or realise that voice was you. Langzy says, ferocious love blooms with each new spring.
Agent Lang, a pleasant surprise to see you here.
It's been a long time since I set foot in the courthouse, but I wasn't gonna miss watching the guy who screwed up my country finally get what's coming to him. Well, that and something else. I want to see you in action in court.
Is that so, Agent Lang?
We flushed out all the counterfeit bills as Zangfar's finally at peace again. And it's all thanks to you. So I just want to say, thanks.
Wow, I never thought I'd see the day old Wolfie says thanks to Mr. Edgeworth. I should be the one thanking you, Agent Lang. If you hadn't negated Mr. Alba's extraterritorial rights, I would not have been able to bring him to trial. I believe the victory belongs to the both of us in this case.
A shared victory, huh? Look, don't get me wrong. I'll still never forgive you, prosecutors. And I have zero interest in that truth thing you talk about in court. I've always done things my own way, and that's not about to change. You got that?
I see. Well, I believe you should follow your own creed when you do your job.
Yeah. And if there's ever someone your precious truth can't catch, feel free to sit around and cry about it all you want. But as for me, I'm gonna get that person no matter what.
Alright. It's about time for the trial to start. I will see you later.
I've been watching your performance in the gallery. I'm looking forward to this. We prepared a whole ton of ticker tapes for today's victory, sir.
I'll help throw some around when Mr. Edgeworth wins.
Hope you've got enough, because I'm gonna go call my men up as well.
A modest amount of ticker tape goes a long way. The scene shifts to the courtroom and the final act of this long tale begins. The legend of the great thief Yatagarasu is the story of those who chose to dedicate their lives to the pursuit of the truth. Prosecutors are those who seek a guilty verdict for the defendants they meet, and to that end you have no choice but to win by any means necessary. That creed was forced on me since I was very young. However, I no longer think that is all we prosecutors are, and that is because... even though I've only been away from the courtroom for a short time, I feel as though it's been a lifetime since I've set foot in one. Today, more than any other day, I feel the fight within me rising.
Objection!
As our credits hit. With the scenes in betweens? But with dialogue or not? That's the question. We're just seeing scenes of the past. Ah!
I'm really in Mr. Edgeworth's debt for the other day. Thanks to him, I'm still free to serve in the friendly blue skies. Oh, so about my suitcases. I've been selling them on the internet and they've become a real sensation. Thanks to the praise the art world has lavished on my work as being truly postmodern. The airline has chosen me to design their new line of iFly jumbo jets. Just think, someday you will be able to take a ride in my pink-walled, yellow-seated jet. Ugh. The nausea that will bring out in all of us. Oh wait, he was fine. He only hurt himself a bit.
Edgeworth? Ah, that rudeness of a rude man. Because of him, my time and money is wasted. But more importantly, I've received a most fantastic treasure recently. The Epilogue statue of the Principality of Cordobia. It weighs a bit light in my hand, but the Ambassador Paleno was most generous.
Oh, he gave you the fake. Nicely done. Well played, Mr. Paleno. Did you get money for it?
It's Francisca time!
We finally caught Agent Hicks' killer and I was able to witness Mr. Alba's teary eyes. It feels good to finally bring everything to a close. I received another offer from Interpol to work another case in cooperation with them. However, the Canopian courts await. Canopia's air is supposed to be very fresh, so my whip should find new vigour there.
Well, let's hope no one's a foolishly foolish fool of foolishly foolish foolishness. Because they'll be on the end of your whip next, right? Is it Kay? Or is it Meekins next? This little patrolman has been fired as of today, sir! I thought I was safe since we found the gun I dropped. Well, I noticed that I dropped my police badge too. Well, I guess what really broke the camel's back was that I couldn't find my badge. My little life was suddenly tripped into a dark black hole, sir! I think I'll go to the courthouse and file a complaint with Ruffles, man. Yeah, file a complaint with Ruffle at once. I'm sure that will go far. Hey! I guess we didn't see you after that small little bit. I was actually hoping to talk with Mr. Edgeworth a bit more than I did. But I've got to get going and return to Europe. I've still got a long way to go and a lot of stuff to study there. Next time I help Mr. Edgeworth on a case, I'm going to do it as a real forensic scientist. I'm sure he's going to need all the help I can give him, scientifically. Play that bass line. Doesn't it make you wonder when we'll next be back in this world and see all these characters again? When the next game will be out, or the next localized game will be out. Because the kidnapping was staged, I was let off easy. But I won't be going outside much anytime soon. But that's really okay. The only prison I'm forever trapped in is the cage of love. The guard down at the detention center. Well, when he's on guard duty. He has such a cold look in his eyes, just like that prosecutor. But Ah! Stop it, Lauren! When will you ever learn to stop being a prisoner of love? Well, at least the detention center guard who just stands there all the time so sullenly, quietly, and stiff as a board might get some action. Maybe love is in the air.
It appears that there are all sorts of drama that takes place outside of the courtroom. Since we judges are here day in and day out, I've only heard a few rumors, but apparently Mr. Edgeworth teamed up with a thief and became a detective. Maybe I should team up with a bailiff and try to become a lawyer or something.
I'd play that game.
Wait, what was evidence again? Yes, my son, my grandson, yeah.
Maggie Bird! Phew, I barely escaped death yet again.
Yeah, but boy, were we lucky to have Mr. Edgeworth help us out, huh?
Yeah, but because I lost the key, I got fired from my security guard job.
Don't let her get you down, Maggie. You still got me.
You're right, sir. I won't be sad. I'm gonna pick myself up and get through this. I wonder what my next job should be. Oh, this is actually kind of fun.
Still trying to figure out if they're actually a legit couple or not at this point in time.
For our bumper final episode ending.
Ambassador Plano. Why not come to Cadopia for your summer vacation? We have coupons aplenty. Right now, our embassy is proud to present our Let's Investigate a Murder show. Although recreating that particular case has created a few small fires of its own. And then we had a few problems with the fire marshals. But the next event will be great. Yes, there will be an attraction entitled Capture the Yatagalasu. Of course, I hope to, in this case, help in creating our latest attraction. I guess she's got royalty rights to the Yatagalasu in some respects.
She's got 2/3 of the rights at the very least handed down.
Get it back down there. I can't believe that Mindy ditched me and went to Japan. But it's okay, because that's how I met Miharu. We're planning to go to Paris soon and start business. We're gonna sell blue ocean dogs. They'll sell like hotcake hot dogs for sure. A blue hot dog and a blue bun. I guarantee you'll turn your tongue and your face blue. I know I'm not really the type to work a lot, or at all really, but... Oh, so I noticed that I really haven't seen the guy in the blue suit at all recently. I wonder what's up. Well, the next time we meet, I'm gonna make him eat one of my dogs.
The guy in the blue suit. Why are they afraid to mention him? Aren't you friends? I mean, well... Yeah. Complex relationship between that trio.
The triumvirate of trouble is what I'd like to call them. Today I gave testimony in court today, as a member of the Yatagarasu. You're Mr. Bad. You look well, all things considered. By the way, have you noticed that elements within the ring have begun moving? They're probably fighting over who should succeed, over who should be the next boss. Although, to be honest, I wish I could forget I'd ever heard of that smuggling ring. Langzi says, thoroughly bite the poisonous snake from head to tail. No one runs afoul of the law and escapes this wolf's fangs. I'll get you all yet. Ah, youth. When did I become so old, I wonder? I've begun noticing the grey hairs in my beard more. I'm thinking of retiring my mirror.
What about your hair? I mean, I notice mine now. Every time you look in that mirror.
Rather grey hair than lose it. That's what I say. Let's try to keep as much as I can. I was the Pink Princess and the Pink Badger all in the span of 2 days. Talk about busy. But it's alright because I got a letter from my beloved Edgy Poo. Please take care of your hip, and when you wish to speak, first take off your headpiece.
What does he mean by that last statement? It's not like I enjoy being under a headpiece every time I see him. I've been an alien, and then some creepy fuzzy pinky animal, and then I was the Pink Princess, a great hero of justice, but ever since I was a young maid like me, so I was flying hat in my head all the way around now to wear my own cosmos something, but even that just sounds like a terrible idea. Ah!
Wait, was that the end? I missed. That was too much waddling around. In other things, March 17th, 4:33 p.m. in the High Prosecutor's offices.
Whoop! I feel so much better now that the trial's over. As always, your legal prowess was top-notch, sir.
Yeah, nothing beat the look of Mr. Alba's face when you revealed the ring's secrets. I was amazed. You're like a totally different person when you step into a courtroom.
Mr. Edgeworth is always 10 times fiercer in court.
Based on the information Mr. Alba offered up, they've begun large-scale operations to clean up the rest of the ring, which I'm happy to leave to Francisca and Agent Lang.
So what are your plans now, Kate?
We've taken care of the creep who killed my father, so I'm not sure. Hey, I know. Maybe I'll just keep on being Mr. Edgeworth's assistant.
You still trying to steal my job, pal?
Just kidding, just kidding. I can't steal something so important to you, Gummy.
Phew, what a relief.
Okay.
Yes?
Even after all that's happened, are you still planning to become a great thief?
Of course. But I don't want to tarnish the legend of the noble Yadagrasu. So I'm going to hold off on doing anything until I make a tight 3-person team my own.
A 3-person team?
A 3-person team of young beauties the same age as me, if possible.
With those criteria, I highly doubt you'll find the 2 other people you need.
My father chose to fight for the truth. I think that's what was so noble about him. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, the only things I will ever steal are the truths that have been hidden away. I'm gonna work extra hard to make a world where the Yadagrasu isn't needed.
Let's both strive for such a future.
Well, I guess it's time for me to get going.
I see.
Okay, keep your chin up and stay strong, okay? And don't be a stranger.
Don't worry, I'll be back. I'll be sure to break the lock on the window and sneak in.
If you could, I'd appreciate it if you came in through the building's front door.
It's okay, Mr. Edgeworth. The lock on my window has been broken for forever.
Oh, one last thing before I go. Let's take a group picture, just the 3 of us.
Yeah, a commemorative photo. Every big case is to end with one.
No.
Hey, why not?
Don't tell me you're camera shy, Mr. Edgeworth.
Of course not, Detective.
Come on, Mr. Edgeworth, I'm taking the picture now. Hey, come back here.
Mr. Edgeworth, you can't run away from this, sir.
Ah, hey! Detective Gumshoe! Stop that! I can't be seen doing that!
Okay, I'm totally taking it now. Say cheese!
And thus the long tale of the KJ incident came to a close. It saw the demise of a smuggling ring and the birth of a little great thief. But there is little time to rest and relax, for I am eager to tackle the investigation into a new case. The reason for my eagerness is my want to pursue the truth and my want to believe in the strength of those who use the power of the law for good. As someone who has chosen to live my life as a prosecutor, that is my new creed. And there you have it. That was Miles Edgeworth, Ace Attorney Investigations. Who knows when we'll next be in the realm of the Ace Attorney franchise. Who knows when they might localize another game or bring a new game out in the future. But that is the end of our tale. So I hope you enjoyed yet another journey. I had to do this game at some point to make you guys happy. Let's put it that way, because I know you guys have followed the series while we've been doing it on the channel over the years, as I've spaced it out very deliberately in a sense. But now we wonder what will be next. Of course, more Let's Plays continue all the time. Who knows when we might come back to a place where we shout objection. But I'll see you guys whenever that is. Wherever that place is. Whatever guise that is in. Next time. I hope you enjoyed this Let's Play. I'll see you guys around. Bye-bye.